What's going on, guys, and welcome back. So the first of quite a few of these that I have planned and already started a few of them, working on replays for a handful of the decks. We're going to commentate 2 gameplay replays, and then we're going to jump into the deck, go over the choices, review it, things like that, and then the video will close out with 3 more replays, sped up pretty good without commentary, so you can watch them or you can just skip on over it. Timestamps will be down below. We extended our giveaway through the end of February instead of the end of this month because I didn't upload as much as I wanted to, so we didn't get as much exposure, yada yada yada. Not fair to you guys. Those of you who keep coming back, thank you. Those of you who have not yet, hit that subscribe button. When we hit 3,000 subscribers, we have our Enchanted Rare Surfer Stitch giveaway. Price keeps going up and up, actually, so it's working out kind of good this way. Again, 3,000 subscriber giveaway. Let's go for the end of February. We jumped almost 200 this month, despite me not uploading nearly as much as I wanted to, so that's a huge start. Thank you guys for that. But without further ado, let's jump on into it. You saw the caption, the title, all of that already, and we see here, Amethyst, Steel, AGGRO. I'm an AGGRO player. I played Cyber Dragon in Yu-Gi-Oh, so expect a lot of AGGRO content from me. But Steel Song's actually going to be the next one that we will be dropping, and we have our updated Amber Amethyst along with Amethyst Ruby like everybody else. A few other decks also mixed in there, such as Ruby, Amber. That's actually one of my favorite decks to play this format. So we go second in this one against Ruby Amethyst, the best deck of the format. We've been seeing these decks get a little bit more aggressive. It helps them out versus the Sapphire Steel deck because that deck takes like 3 turns to really get set up. We're going second, so that's a big disadvantage already. I always forget what I do in these because a lot of time I'll record them and then this is the first time watching the replay like days later. Going second, the Storm Rage on is a pretty good card because it can draw us a card and deal some damage. Unfortunately, like Surfer Mini has 3 where it deals 2. We have a turn 1 play in Simba, turn 2 in Pinocchio or Cinderella, multiple turn 3s. Mim also a decent going second option. We're going to get rid of the Tink. Debating on Hercules, debating on the rest. Again, I actually really like it. We pick up a goat in the process. So we only had the 2 uninkables, and that means we're going to have a lot of ink. And again, we have our turn 1 play, which also helps us draw and then just pitch a card that we don't need, the least valuable in our hand. We have Fox and Let the Storm Rage on as 2 going second cards. We also have Pinocchio because there's a chance that we're going to go to turn 2 without our opponent doing a whole lot. He pitches Teeth and Ambition, assuming he thinks I'm on more of a mid-range or control type deck, drawing into Hercules, so we can go ahead and pitch him. We go Simba, draw, and we hit our Snake. Snake's probably the least useful here. I mean, we could Snake bounce our Pinocchio just to recycle that. Would have been a potential option. Shere Khan goes, and then his own Pinocchio comes out. Like I said, they're definitely a bit more aggressive than they have been in the past for their decks. We're going to go ahead and get rid of Cinderella, and we're going to start the boat race. We're going to get 1 quest in there. We know he's not going to attack. That's just pretty common sense. And I doubt he would Teeth and Ambition his own Pinocchio to take out ours. There's just better options. See, like how we mentioned doing that to ourselves with the Mim Snake. He won't be able to recast it, so he can't quite keep the tempo he would like. We have our Hercules and the Shift, so we go ahead and get rid of the little Tink, and then we can throw down our bodyguard Hercules, so now we're doing pretty decent. We go ahead and get rid of the Olaf, and the downside here, though, I mean, the plus side, I guess, to Hercules is it takes out Fox or Snake. We see Goat come down, so at least unlike Prince, who doesn't take them out with it, he does take them out. We can go ahead and get rid of the Maleficent, and then we're going to go throw our own goat down and not quest with the Pinocchio because we would just lose it. He would obviously attack there. Debatable if we should have, though, because going up 10-4 that early wouldn't be a bad thing, especially with goat in play with a bounce in hand and let it go or let the Storm Rage on. I mean, in hindsight, I know how the match played out, so that's why I question if I should have done it. I don't necessarily disagree with it. Dragonfire comes down anyway, so we lose it that way. Had we quested it for 3, would he Dragonfire it? Possibly. Or he could still just do what he just did there, but we would have got 3 more lore. So it's hard to say exactly what would have happened. And again, we have Fox and the Goat in play here, so trying to debate what do we want to do. Storm Rage on lets us get rid of it and keep the Fox in hand while also drawing a card and just getting rid of it so that way he cannot bounce it back to his hand. Opponent thinking things through here now. 8-5, close game. We're getting up there. We both have 5 inks, so you kind of want to be smart about it and keep enough in your hand. Maui comes down. We're going to get our free lore. Obviously, we cannot, bounce it with Fox like we were originally going to intend to. Another Dragonfire comes down, which is really unfortunate. We were trying to build a little bit of tempo there and get a little momentum. Tink, for us, thankfully, is going to get rid of that Maui. However, now we're in Lady Tremaine territory where he can go ahead and do that. So we see Tink and Pinocchio come down. So he's going to get aggressive. We draw into another beast, which is going to help us out there. Spellbook comes down, which again is going to help him to deal damage, or not deal damage, but build his lore without like cards like that, where if we hit it, it's going to obviously get rid of it. However, he is unlucky because we draw, sorry about that, we draw into the swords, so Tinkerbell can take out the Pinocchio and put 2 damage onto the mini, and we do have swords which can finish the mini off, so we're in a pretty decent spot. And we have 6 ink. We know we're like getting close to be prepared too, so we don't want to necessarily put everything out on the board. We can go ahead and Mim bounce Tinkerbell back to our hand and then let Mini survive a turn, because now we can potentially deal more damage to something else that he puts down. So Rabbit comes down knowing he's not going to attack Mini right into here, so we quest for 1 and then we play our friends to draw 2. So 13-12. Again, the game's getting kind of grindy. He's not inking cards, which either means he can't or he really needs the cards he has. So we draw into our Benja. This card is insane versus Sapphire, but it also helps out really well versus the Spellbook, versus the Lantern, versus the Flutes, things like that. So now we're going to go ahead and play our Be Prepared and quest for a couple. So we get to 14. And there the Be Prepared comes down. He did forget to quest with his Rabbit first, so he could have went to 13. But again, we could be at 17 had we played our Pinocchio more properly. So Goat comes in, gets us the 15. And right now we got 4 on board with 1 if we leave the field. The Aladdin comes down and does rob us of that. We go ahead and ink 1 more Mim Fox, bounce the Aladdin, throw it back down 1 more time, and bring us back to 13. So 16, 17, and again, that's where the Pinocchio one, like I said, hindsight, I know how the match went. At the time, I still don't think it's necessarily the incorrect call. I think it's just a toss-up on how aggressive you want to be. Like, do you just say it's a 1-1, it's a 2 cost, he quested, he got me 3 more lore, he did his job, if I lose it, that's fine. Arguably, that's the better play to do. I chose to be a little bit more passive and hopefully get some protection for it, which I would have had. However, the Dragonfire kind of came down first, and we don't get it that way. So just kind of really pay attention, I guess, and try to read your opponent and see if you can't like project what they're going to do. Because, I mean, you can probably guess in this instance, I'm not going to win this match by the way I'm talking. However, we could have won. Obviously, it would also change potentially the way the match plays out if those 3 points are there. However, given the limited cards in his hand, there may not be a whole lot that he could have even done. We do lose our bodyguard there, 14, and then we lose 2 more, which is unfortunate because then we lose our Pinocchio. So draw 2, 15-14. We have our Goat, which can get us to 17. Tinkerbell comes down. And then Goat, we can go ahead and get rid of that Aladdin because we don't want to keep taking that damage. Then throwing a Simba down, draw is going to be a Benja. We don't necessarily need that over the Hercules. 3 cards in hand. There's a lot that can go wrong for us here. We have 3 more points. Olaf, Arthur, and Minnie all come down. So we only have 19 on board, and we have no way to deal the damage. There's quite a few ways, though, like had we hit a smash, had we hit a Storm Rage on, had we hit our Grab Your Swords, or we're at 7, we could still ink one card. Had we even hit something like Merlin Rabbit to draw a card and draw into one of those cards, Tink could attack the snake, then deal 2 damage to the Arthur, and then you use whatever you have to deal damage to finish off the Arthur. He can go to 18 on his turn. We go to 17 here, and then either he attacks with both to take it out, or he loses the game. So we'd be in a much better spot there. So the Pinocchio almost didn't matter. It came down to literally the luck of drawing cards. However, had we quested with that Pinocchio earlier, we would have in fact won the match. So hats off to the opponent. And again, just remembering to try and like keep really good focus on where you're at, game state wise, and even early on. Like, can't say enough about it. Reading your opponent if you can. We're just showing our opponent everything else that we had. So we go ahead, quest, and quest, bounce, and win the game. 2 more. So we have Sapphire, Ruby as our second one. Once again, we're going second. I went second so much with this deck. Cinderella, Herc, Tink, Maleficent, and Swords. So going second, we have Swords there, but it's not necessarily one of our better going second cards because it's a later turn, later into the game. We have an aggressive turn 1. Sapphire, he's probably going to try to ramp like the first couple turns, so it's going to be like 1, 2, 3 for setup, but then all of a sudden the big hitters like Tremaine, your Hades, your Be Prepared, by turn 5 you really got to be worried about those types of cards. So we're going to actually go ahead and keep our turn 1 and 2 plays and see what else we can't get. We hit our Fox and Storm Rage on, along with our Shift for Cinderella and Rabbit. So we have a decent bit of uninkables, which is unfortunate, but we draw into one, and we have that one already, so it's easy to get rid of that way. Throw down the Maleficent. Like I said, keeping the aggro part early because of what deck our opponent is playing. Gets rid of the Nick Wild. Another Popsicle comes out. We draw into another 1-drop Maleficent. So at this point, I feel like it's kind of like I went first and I'm in control. So I get rid of the Fox at this point. I'm not expecting to have to really attack and deal damage. I'm going to start boat racing them and see how fast we can't put this away. Inking the Maleficent, and then we come down with the Aladdin, so we lose 1 lore. That's fine. I don't think we're going to need the goat, so we get rid of it, and then we hard cast, draw our card, and we are safe to quest for 4 more. Our opponent with 3 now, having to think his play through, gets rid of the Judy, hops for 4. Now is when, if he can, he could really start ramping, but he clearly cannot. So instead, another Aladdin comes down. We get rid of one of our Cinderellas and throw the other one down. Draw. It hits a Pinocchio. We get rid of our Rabbit because my hand's actually pretty good. And also here, throwing down a Pinocchio, if I lose one of these Maleficents, don't really care. I still got 6 more on board, and that means he didn't quest for one, so it'll be a 14-0 lead that we just jump right out to. Our opponent looking things through, thinking about what he's going to do. Grammatala hits the Inkwell. Again, thinking as we think through our plays. And then we see the Sisu come down. Not going to be too worried about her, however. We lose our Maleficent as expected. Nothing unexpected there. Like, that'd be kind of crazy if we didn't. Heal the Aladdin. Not really going to matter. We keep our goat there too, just because it's in case we need to just peck away for that last couple. We don't necessarily need the draw here, so we get rid of Maleficent. Shift into our Cinderella, which is going to be really nice. I love Cinderella and Hercules right now. They're so strong. And then we go 2, 3, 3 for 8, and now we have 16. So we get up to that 6 ink spot anyway. And like I said, now we're in that Maui or Lady Tremaine here. With this too, like, I expect to lose. It didn't matter which one I picked, the Maleficent or the Pinocchio, because Aladdin's going to attack the other one. But I have 3 plus goat in hand anyway, so unless he clears Cinderella, we already win the game. He attacks over, and then we go Cinderella Quest and throw down the goat for the win. There, you guys got a quick little insight to the next replay, but you're gonna have to wait till after the deck review to see that. So I will see you guys in just a second over on dreamborn.inc to go over that deck. So here we have the deck. We're about to go through the card choices and talk about it, but before we do that, we'll go over our cost curve. We are playing 8 1-cost cards, 10 2-cost cards, and 21 3-cost. Our 4-cost drops down to 7, and then 4 5s, 6 6s, and 4 7s. We are at 15 non-inkable. If you're wondering about deck building tips, advice, guides, things like that, I do have a video on the channel where I talk about that, talking about building your curve, how to do it. Every deck has the potential to break the rules, but I think if you're struggling building your deck, or you're struggling with how do I do this, what cards do I pick, I think it's a great video for anyone learning a TCG or anyone struggling to find that sweet balance of it. But without further ado, our 1-costers, we have Maleficent and Simba. Simba is here because it's part of our draw power, it's our engine. Yes, you have to discard, but being able to get to the cards you need is so important, and even if you have everything you want, you can use it and then just get rid of the least important card in your hand. It's pretty simple, or just choose not to use it if you don't want to get rid of cards in your hand. Maleficent obviously being here as our aggressor, as our 2-quester, who just so happens to die to steal. We have Mim in there for our self-bounce, whether it's your goat or your Maleficent or your Pinocchio, to be able to recast them, to abuse them, and not leave them exerted for your opponent. Pinocchio, playing 3 of him. He's a 3-quester, 2-cost. Being uninkable, I didn't like, that's part of it. I wanted to be at 15. He was one of the casualties of that, because I feel like this deck doesn't necessarily have to be super aggressive, but this deck can be aggro. You saw it in the replay, and I have more replays that you'll see how quick this deck can put games away. But at the same time, in that first replay, you saw where the deck can grind it out and play a longer game if needed. So for Cinderella, she's one of our big shift targets. I think Hercules and Cinderella are incredible right now. Their resist 2 is just very strong. They're multiple questers, and Hercules having resist 2, he's kind of like, I don't want to say a 6-5, because repeatedly he keeps getting that resist 2, so it's not even like take 5, you lose them, but the resist 2 is just so strong. The new location card that gives resist to any card in it, I'm really tempted to put in here, because all of a sudden that means your Pinocchio and your Maleficents have a resist now. Swords still gonna wipe them out. However, other things that, like the 1/3 cards, like your Olafs, your Minnie Mouses, will no longer be able to take them down. Madam Mim, pretty self-explanatory. It's one of our going second cards. It's one of our self-bouncers. Yeah, like there's not too much else to say about it. Rush, obviously really strong. Maleficent, I was playing 4 of initially, but then we put 2 Tink in instead, because it gives us the potential for a shift on our Tink, while at the same time, it's a recursive draw. Yes, you have to discard so you're not truly plussing, whereas Maleficent's just a one-time when you play it. Tinkerbell is every turn you can exert her to draw a card, and that's why we ended up splitting the difference at 2-2. 2 Benjas, because he's really good when they have Fishbone Quill and they're trying to build, when they have Lantern, when they have Song, when they have Spellbook. Otherwise, he's kind of mid when they don't. On the bright side, he's inkable and he quests for 2, so I definitely think you could bump it up if you want to. However, I've been finding 2 to be a pretty sweet spot. Hercules and Prince are our 2 bodyguards, so we're playing 8 bodyguards because, again, we're being aggressive. We want our low cost high questers to survive a few turns, and these guys really help. That resist 1 on the Prince is very nice. However, the 1 attack does kind of stink at times. He quests for 2, so that's actually really convenient. Hercules then shifts up into one of the best shifts in the game, so again, really convenient. Goat, we played 4 because, well, he's the goat. He helps you close out games at the end. If your opponent doesn't know it's in your hand, it can be just absolutely like incredible, and just the way it can steal a game over for you. Very, very strong. 3 rabbits, because the draw is also very important. 2 beasts, you could definitely play without this card, but if you have it, I would definitely play it at 2. I don't think I'd play more. It kind of just comes in as one of those cards that you throw down there. You'll quest with it when you're able to or safe to, but otherwise a lot of time he just hits the field and he's my draw engine essentially. Hercules and Tink, and then our Cinderella. So I felt like Cinderella and Hercules are the better of the two, so we're playing 4 and 4. And then Tinkerbell being our 2 as another option for your shift. Multi-lore, board presence where deal 1 damage to everything. Also obviously quest, or not quest, challenge, take out a character, put 2 more damage onto something else. If you don't have beasts or you don't want to run it, you could easily cut 2 of these and play 4 Tink. And then we have a few songs. They are uninkable. We wanted to stay at 15, so we have our Let Our Storm Rage On and our Grab Your Swords. As of right now, I'm playing 3 and 2. I've been finding that to work out pretty well because, again, the deck is aggro. You're not necessarily trying to control the board and everything, but we have tools there that you can. So while that's not the focus of the deck, you're focused on winning and being aggressive, you still have Let the Storm Rage On. You still have Grab Your Swords, Cinderella, Tinkerbell, Hercules, all these really strong cards to be able to Meta Mim Fox, to deal with your opponent's boards and to take them out. The deck does come in at $185. Again, 80 of that, 80 to 90, I forget exactly where Beast is at the moment. I think it might tell us on here, 44s. So 90, half of this total is those 2 beasts. Without the 2 beasts, this deck is actually pretty budget too, so that's pretty good. And yeah, I got a few more replays now for you guys, but like, share, subscribe, comment down below how we're doing, how do you like this format setup, and we have a few more deck profiles, replays, gameplay footage, things like that for you guys. Until next time, take care and enjoy those replays.